in a great hurry now, but that seems an imprudent activity to me to take place on a dam that is as severely crippled as this. This is a picture of the hydrated area of the downstream slope in the left groin. This area is quite green all the time. The problem with it, I would not be the least bit concerned if it was downgrade 20%. The reason that it gives me great concern is that it is not. It's at about 50% or greater of the total dynamic head, the elevation of the reservoir itself, which means that this water is not passing through a graded filter, which homogeneous soils. It's not. It's found a way around or through it in order to manifest this high up the dam. Otherwise, it would be running downgrade before it came out. This should be very concerning. I see a double-ended arrow here. I believe, just from history, I've chased these things for 30 years, 20 years. I've drilled many holes. The holes I drill are always in the wrong place the first time. I never get it right the first time, so you might as well just drill some holes, start out with. But I would imagine that that water is actually moving through that indigenous soil of the abutment there, because the dam was fairly well graded and fairly well made. They used a lot of river rock, a lot of round, unfractured rock when they constructed this dam, which everyone wishes they hadn't, but that was normally done in those days. Now we'd probably run it through a crusher first and grade it, but that's not how things were done. It's a magnificent dam, and I'll tell you, it's a beautiful, stable, incredible dam. You're so lucky to have that dam here, if it were properly maintained. A grouting program here, drilling down through there, probably would find the voids within the weathered rock, and probably a hydrophobic urethane foam, for anyone that happens to be into that kind of thing, under significant pressure would probably stop it. And that, you know, there are contractors that do this stuff. There are a number of very good ones. The contractor who's been selected to do the job is a very competent, excellent contractor, by the way. I can say nothing but good things about them. They know these people who do this subsurface stuff. And the whole thing about this kind of grouting is being able to calculate exactly the pressures to be used so that you don't cause a problem, soil fracture, open it up, and that you fill all the voids within it. So this is the second grouting program that I truly believe needs to happen here. The hydro outlet, we talked about this already, and I apologize, I'm not following my slides. I'm a freelance kind of a guy here. I go where the mood takes me, especially when I'm in a church. I feel it incumbent on me. The pool deepened, and you know, we talked about the rotational moment potential and all that. This is another picture of that Feather River there, showing the backup of the pool. Now this is a before and after, and it clearly shows the scour that took place, and it also shows, look at the bottom of the embankment there, the discharge channel on the right-hand side. And notice the discharge channel, I'm sorry, on the left-hand side as we look at that. And notice the difference between that and the right-hand side. So I assert that such a pool will rotate, particularly in the northern hemisphere, for the same reasons that when you flush your toilet, it spins around in the direction that it does. This is induced by the spinning of the earth. We can see that it has eroded from one bank but not the other, which tells me that indeed there was some rotational moment on that. It didn't do any harm. We lucked out and things slowed down, and I thank God, by the way. There's never been an instant in my history when I wanted to be right about any of the things that I've said about this dam, including today. What I want here is for this to get under control and for it to be repaired and for you people to be treated like the ladies and gentlemen that you are and for people to stop lying to you in some distorted methodologies to protect you or for whatever the reasons may be, and simply stand in front of you and tell you what's going on. You have the right to that, for God's sake. You live here. Thank you. As I've said before, you know, people make mistakes. If we start beating up everyone that makes mistakes, then the only people that won't be beat up are the people that don't do anything. I don't have a problem with mistakes. I have a problem with lies. And I have a problem with hidden mistakes. The bottom drain. This is something that I'm sure makes great sense. And I'm sure it does make sense. It just doesn't make sense to me. The bottom drain is inoperable because of concerns of fire. That's all I got to say about that. I got nothing else. I mean, I've never seen a fire in a dam yet. I've never seen it happen. I recognize they're generating electricity. I assume that's what it has to do with. I don't know. The maintenance. Oh, my heavens. Imagine a situation where the person is responsible for a structure that could kill hundreds of thousands of human beings. And then imagine the situation where our government regulates them to make sure that this is a safe situation. And imagine the situation where the people who regulate them are them. Who even thinks this stuff up? How could you think that this was going to be okay? And then they're going to put together a panel of experts, and the experts are going to tell us what went wrong. This is, seriously, I'm a guy who loves to hear myself talk. I've got nothing. Obviously, someone needs to either manage this thing, who is not the regulator, or regulate this thing, who is not the manager. This is unjust, for God's sake. There needs to be dissemination of information. This point blank, what it is. The elevation of the lake is the elevation of the lake is the elevation of the lake. You have a right to know that, for heaven's sakes. That's pertinent. When the reservoirs upstream in these reaches are full to capacity, and you have a family to take care of, you have the right to know that. That's not something that should be delayed for 11 days. That's not something that should be hidden to you as if you were a child that might be afraid. I make the statement there, farm ponds in California are better maintained than the tallest dam in the United States. I've never seen a FERC dam inspection report where the description of the investigation of the sluice sway was, we looked at it from a distance and it looked all right. I've done many dam inspections, probably as many as anyone, hundreds certainly. And I know the guy who used to be the director of dam safety for FERC. FERC is a magnificently competent group of people, normally. That's not acceptable. The way that such an element is investigated is with ground-penetrating radar to find out if indeed there are voids. If this had been done in the last 10 years, we'd have found out the voids existed. We would have initiated a grouting program. It would have cost us nearly nothing, and you and I would not be here right now. And I would have never seen the most beautiful place I think I've ever seen in the United States. So I guess some good came of it, but not very much. Communications. Everything is fine. There's nothing to worry about. Everything is fine. There is nothing to worry about. It's all under control. Don't worry. Everything is fine. Run. Again, I don't agree with any part of it, but I do understand people wishing to not alarm people. Personally, I think that's muck. Personally, alarm me. Give me the truth, whatever the truth may be, and I will deal with it as I deal with it. And I have the right to do that. Don't placate me, and don't treat me like a child. That is what I felt when I heard the way the communication was disseminated on this dam. This is a serious business. It's a serious business from the regulator's standpoint. It's a serious business from the dam owner's standpoint. And heaven knows it is a serious business for each of your families. It was not treated with the respect in the methodology of communication that it deserved, nor the candor. This is just a shame when information like this is disseminated, and here's the actual document. And again, I say, please don't misunderstand me. I am not here to criticize people who are under duress and who are trying to do a job. I also